There is an urban legend that says if you find yourself in the town of Quitman, Arkansas at 65 Mulberry Street, you may encounter a 300-pound half-man, half-beast, complete with glowing animal eyes, glaring out of the windows. Walk quickly, as he has been known to chase people down his street, biting at their heels. That's how the legend goes, but the origin story behind this rare urban legend is far creepier than the folklore. Quitman, a small town in north-central Arkansas of nearly 800 people and a house with a horrific and paranormal history. Originally built in 1890, this two-story home was one of the finest of its time. This home was the former residence of Benjamin Jackson and his family. His son Joseph served in World War I but sadly died at the age of 21. You can often hear locals talk about an apparition of a World War I soldier walking through the home. I'd love to tell you that this is where the story ends. I'd love to tell you that. But this apparition is only a minute detail, and this is only the beginning of a sad and sinister story. In 1951, Floyd and Eileen Bettis moved into the house. They were a well-liked couple in the community, and those that knew them well always described them as good and down-to-earth people. While childless for a few years, the couple finally got their wish and welcomed their son Gerald Floyd Bettis in 1954. From early on, Gerald was a difficult child. He was often described as a brat, vicious, and cruel, the opposite from the modest, happy home he was raised in. Growing up, Gerald developed some unusual habits, including collecting dogs and cats, leading to his nickname Dog Boy. He would catch stray animals and torture them so much so that the neighbors could hear their cries of pain. At school, kids would pester him and take things away from him. It was like he wanted to be aggravated to get attention, a former schoolmate recalled. She even cited one instance in which there was a large family reunion at Quitman City Hall. She goes on to say that Gerald took a chaise lounge, like the ones the Romans would lay back on. He got some grapes and laid down on a chair to eat them in front of everyone. By the time he was an adult, Gerald towered over his elderly parents at 6'4" and weighed close to 300 pounds. It was also regularly reported that he beat up his father and even threw him out of an upstairs window one time during his teen years. Although Floyd was in his 70s at the time, he hung onto the ledge until the local police showed up. This was not the only report of abuse and neglect. Eileen had said that her and Floyd waited for their son to cook them food, but Gerald fed them whenever he felt like it. It seems that Gerald grew old of torturing the neighborhood animals, so he decided to torture and abuse his own parents. In 1981, Floyd Bettis died after an illness at his home, but some people didn't buy that story, as they had heard that Floyd died from a broken neck after an accident from falling down the stairs. A few months after the death of her husband, Eileen fell and broke her hip, requiring a trip to the hospital. A nurse at the time recalled witnessing Gerald's treatment of his mother. She said that he would slap her around and tell her, "I'm going to have you arrested if you tell anyone what I did." Not long after that incident, Eileen was placed in Adult Protective Services and removed from the home permanently. Following the removal of his mother from the home, Gerald built a sunroom in the back of the house, where he would sell the plants that he grew, including marijuana. Authorities arrested him based on this and his mother's testimony of her abuse. Gerald was put in prison and subsequently died of a drug overdose in May of 1988 at the age of 34. As for Gerald's mother, Eileen, she passed away in 1995. After Eileen's death, there was an estate sale of the house, and it was sold to a man by the name of Tony Weaver. Tony and his wife lived in the house for a couple of years. However, they started to experience odd events, such as lights turning on and off on their own, sudden noises, cold spots, and the feeling that someone else was living in the house with them. After seeing a newspaper ad placed by the Central Arkansas Society for Paranormal Research, or CASPR, Weaver's wife contacted Karen Shillings. Weaver's wife began to describe the paranormal events she witnessed to Shillings. She said she would turn off the lights before leaving for her night shift, and when she would return, the lights would be back on. At first, the woman thought that these actions were the result of an intruder, but then she began to experience more supernatural events. Weaver's wife recalled seeing pennies floating down from the top of the stairwell. The coins then stopped mid-air and fell to the floor all at once right in front of her. After 6 months of these occurrences, Weaver's wife was very scared and didn't want to live there anymore. Tony also had his fair share of paranormal experiences. He had said that one day he was working on the house and he saw a man looking through the foyer into the living room. He goes on to describe that the man he saw looked like a World War I soldier complete with helmet. Tony had said that the man looked so real that when he walked into the living room, Tony ran after him, but no one was there. In 2003, the house was occupied by Quentin White and his wife Stephanie. Stephanie reported that strange things would happen on a regular basis, like the toilet flushing on its own. She recalls that one day when Quentin was working on the house, she was on the phone with him. Quentin heard a crash upstairs and went to find out what had happened. He had previously stacked a large pile of 2x4s on the floor. When he got to the room upstairs, however, he told his wife that the boards were all standing up straight. The couple only lived in the house for a few short months before they moved out. Tony Weaver still owns the house and continues to show the home to prospective buyers with little success. He says that if you bring somebody in the house that the spirits don't like, you'll feel chills and your hair will stand on end. The few that have come to see the house and were interested in buying it have also experienced their own paranormal events. One woman brought her daughter with her and told Weaver that she was sensitive. While the two women were walking through the home, the daughter stopped at the stairs and said that she felt very sad. Another prospective buyer saw a recliner in the home flip back on its own like someone was sitting there. It stayed stuck like that the whole time that they were looking at the place. While the house is vacant, Tony Weaver hired Ed Munnerlin to remodel the house. He prefers to work on the house at night because he says too many people are curious about the ghosts and want to come in. He, like many others, has also had several unexplainable incidents happen to him. When asked if he believes in the stories about the house, he replied with, "I'm a rational person. I don't believe in the paranormal. But since I've been working at that place, I feel very uncomfortable, like someone's watching me." He has also claimed to see many spirits. He said that once when he pulled into the driveway of the house at night, he saw a man looking down at him. He was dressed in a brown jacket and a bow tie, as if from another time period. An extension of the house is where Munnerlin claims to have seen the ghost of Gerald Bettis. He describes seeing a huge, weird-looking man with animal-like features, with long brown hair, creepy eyes, and great big arms and hands. Munnerlin said that right after he saw him, he walked through the hall and disappeared. Munnerlin goes on to say that sometimes he'll experience a cold wind blowing down his neck and that he'll sometimes hear something slam or someone walking across the floor. When he goes to investigate the noise, he sees nothing there. He later said that, quote, "They let me know when they're there," end quote. In 2005, CASPR investigated the house. Shillings was the lead researcher on the case and went to the house on 2 different occasions. Shillings said that the first time they noticed cold spots, 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the ambient temperature of the house. They also used a very sensitive electromagnetic field detector that picks up all kinds of electromagnetic readings. They claimed to pick up an energy force that had no explanation. Shillings also reported that the team tracked an entity through the kitchen area where one of the team members felt like someone touched him. At one point, the crew went outside to get some items from the car. When they looked up at the second floor window, they saw a face peering down at them, but it was later confirmed that there was no one upstairs at the time. On the second visit the CASPR team made to the home, they brought along a medium. The medium apparently got in touch with what seemed to be the spirit of Gerald Bettis. Supposedly, Gerald said that he cursed all of them and told them to get out. The team documented the visits on tape with what they considered to be additional evidence of paranormal activity, including orbs flying through the wall and unexplainable flashing lights. Although footage of the ghost hunting expeditions was shot over the 2 occasions, Schilling said that the more spectacular tape has gone missing. Multiple attempts to locate the tape have failed. While the true story of Gerald Bettis may forever be lost in urban legend, one thing is certain. There's something unexplainable happening in the home at 65 Mulberry Street. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video and would like to see more content like this, then please like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. It would mean a lot. Until next time.